here in the workroom at my place. We got the tail light project going on here. We got the head here. We got the headlight project going on here. So this is where I kind of do all that stuff. But specifically for this video, we're focusing on the head. Got the head back, as you guys that watched the channel would have seen in the last clip. The things with this head specifically, when I took it to the machine shop, they pressure tested it. It was fine. They did notice a very small leak from the valves, but they said that the leak was so small you would notice no performance difference whatsoever. So not really worried about that until I built the head and put different valves in. So that's fine. The head was warped. It was warped by 3 millimeters. So it's been machined ever since, completely flat now. One extra thing that I did have them do, they didn't have a port and polish service. I did ask them about that, so they didn't have that. But outside of that, which cylinder? Cylinder 3. Yeah, cylinder 3. The threads in cylinder 3 were kind of stripped, and that spark plug wasn't fully going in. So cylinder 3 was actually not firing either. So I was really running off of 4 cylinders out of 6, because this one wasn't firing since the spark plug wasn't in there, and one of them was firing, or one of them wasn't firing because the contact spring was out. So I had them refinish all of the threads to make sure that that doesn't happen again either. And that's pretty much all that I did with the head. Everything else checked out fine with it, so we are good to go. Head gasket just came in today. That's this one right here. We have ourselves this is actually, I got this from the UK. This is a Cosworth head gasket. So a lot of people run this in the UK and Australia. Cosworth is a bigger brand over there. It hasn't really made it to the States yet, because in the States everybody uses Nitto, Tomei, Grady, all that stuff. But Cosworth is definitely one of those brands it's not up there, but the way that it was described to me by the people that run it over there, they said it's better than Cosmetic, but it's underneath Nitto in terms of quality. I'm cool with that. Cosmetic was what I just came from that didn't seal properly, so we're upgrading. They said that it would probably be around the same quality as as the gasket I was trying to get when I bought my Tomei USA one. And then I found out about that. So Tomei USA versus Tomei Japan, everybody's got their own opinions about it. I'd rather be safe than sorry when it comes to a head gasket, so I returned my Tomei USA one and bought the Cosworth one. I also went and got it to be a little bit thicker. The cosmetic one was 1.3. I think factory is 1.2. The cosmetic one was 1.3. This one is 1.5, just to give it a little extra oomph to, seal and all that stuff. So that's another thing that I did with it, just to try to make this, make it so that I don't have to do this until it's time to go forged again, because this is my second head gasket. I'm not trying to do a third one. But yeah, so we got this all squared away. Next thing is to take this back to the car, take the head gasket back to the car, and then we can start this reassembly process. What I'm gonna do, instead of putting the head studs in first, is I'm going to put the gasket on and then put the head on. I'm gonna let the dowel pins and the engine block do their job and align everything, and then I'll put the head studs in through the head and torque them down and all that stuff, so that we could be good on that. And we'll go from there. But yeah, so we're in the garage. Got the head in here. I didn't slip on any ice or anything like that. It made it here in one piece, even though my hand did not make it in one piece. This thing is very sharp. So my objective for today is not to immediately put the head on the car and get everything going. Since I did have that issue with the spark plugs and stuff, I want to assemble the valve train and everything on the head while the head is off the car, just to make sure that all these spark plugs are fully seated and everything is like the way that they're supposed to be. Not the valve covers and stuff, but just the ignition set, the cams, and all the front, gears and stuff like that, the rear head drain and stuff. So get back to that point, and then I'll put the head on the car. So this is mostly going to be an assembling the head video, and then we'll go on and refinish the block and all that stuff. We got a sharpening stone here that's going to go for the block. All the head stuff is over there. And first thing I did was put the spark plugs into the cylinder holes, and I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those down so that I can see if they actually fully are seated, like if they refinish the threads and stuff. So let's go ahead and knock that out. All right, and as you can see, I don't have them tightened, they're just in there snug, but all of them are fully seated in the cylinders. This was the one that was the problem. That one is in there now. At first it wasn't always in there. We're able to get all the way in there. So that was the first thing I wanted to make sure. Looks like the machine shop did their thing on that. So we can go ahead and continue on. The next thing, or next part of this process, is gonna be valve train assembly, putting the cams back in and getting it going off of that. So let's start that process. Guys, so you would have saw the time lapse of getting everything together. Definitely make sure everything is still in order the exact way that you took it out. All of these cam lobes have to go in the exact same spots. All of the little buckets in there have to go in the exact same one they came out of, and if you have any shims, in the exact same one that they came out of as well. Once you get all that done, so I just put the caps on there and made it so you can't pull them out, but they're not tightened down because there is a proper procedure for tightening these down. You don't want to go from left to right or right to left and then snap your cam in half from the difference in pressure and stuff. It does happen. So I'm going to put a screenshot of the actual factory service manual from Nissan, but this is for a R33 rb25det. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure it's about the same though. And that one pretty much says to start with this one and then go to this, then that, then that, then this, then this, then that. It's pretty much the same way that you would take it off. It's the loosening procedure is just the same as the tightening procedure. So it says 1, 2. So you start from the top. On each cover, you start from the top, then go to the bottom, and then go to the left, to the right, then left, then right, then left, then right, then left. And that helps it sit evenly. That way you're not snapping any cams. I'm gonna do them one at a time. The other thing is the torque. It is between 9 and 12 Newton meters on that service manual. That's basically about between 6 to 8 pounds. So I'm gonna just torque them down to 7. Just to be like happy middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that for each side, and then we'll be on to the next part. We got ourselves an issue here. Now, as I've already posted the damn service manual, it shows anywhere between 9 and 12 Newton meters to torque these down to. 9 Newton meters is about just over 6 foot-pounds. 12 Newton meters is around 8 foot-pounds. I set my wrench up to 7 foot-pounds and torqued this down, and this bolt snapped. And I wasn't sure if it snapped or not, so to be safe, I set it down to 6 foot-pounds. and then this bolt snapped. So that's the end of this job. Now I got to figure out how to get those out of there without damaging the head, and I got to get replacement cam studs or cam bolts. And on top of that, if I get replacement ones, I'd rather get some ARP ones than this shit. So yeah, I don't know, guys. It's literally on the factory service manual, so I don't know how else to go about that. It's been about maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks since the last clip of me snapping these. I'm not sure exactly, but finally got everything that I need to go ahead and get this taken care of. So the first thing that I did notice is that these bolts are still available through Nissan, and they have been corrected. And so I got 10 just in case, because I got them from a dealership. I didn't order them online or anything like that. And the dealership was taxing on these bolts, as all dealerships do. So I didn't want to get a full set, just wanted to replace the ones that would possibly snap. Here you go. So this is the part number for them. And they are still cam bolt brackets. But what I want to point out with these, and I'm going to make a separate version of this clip by itself so that I can just put it inside my RB common problems, because I did find out that this was a common issue with the RBs. I don't know if it's just a Neo thing or a 25 thing, or if it's just all across the board with the RB engines. But here we go. These are the two bolts. So these are the old ones, these are the new ones. And as you can see, the new ones have the thread go all the way up here, where the old ones go down here. What happens is when these get torqued down, they stretch right about there, because this bolt design is pretty terrible. So when they stretch after being torqued down the first time, when you torque them down the second time, pretty easy to snap them. Don't have to take that much. Nissan has corrected this by changing the thread design. And so now you can see that there's been an improvement. What I'm gonna do real quick is just pop this in here just to make sure that that's able to fit in there, and that is. So same thread pitch and everything, same part number, just new design. As for the ones that are in here, you know, they're not really torqued down that much. So what I got is some easy out is what they call it, basically reverse cut drill bits. Gonna drill into them, that way I can get that in there, and then since they aren't torqued down that much, I should be able to twist them out and continue onwards. So I'm gonna get some rags and cover the rest of this so that I can get everything going, and yeah, we should be good to go. That's one right there. Everything in there is still looking pretty good. Definitely want to minimize the chance of getting any shavings in there. So that's pretty much how that works with the reverse drills and getting it out. So I'm gonna do the other one off camera. That one's still in there. And then once I get that out, put the cam back in and we can go back at it. But this time, when it comes to tightening these down, I'm just gonna put a little bit of oil on them, and I'm gonna make sure that they're snug to the point where I'm comfortable with it. I'm not looking to tighten them to that specification because I don't have a set of 24 of these types of bolts, and these I didn't even try to find the part number for these because I don't know if these are still in production. So if I snap one of those, chances are I might not get a replacement. So yeah. All right, I got them both out. This one was being a pain in the ass, so it's a little more damaged at the surface, but this one was a pretty clean one. Both out. I threaded in one of the new bolts to make sure that it's good. This one just has a little bit of play until you tighten it down. Well, until you get, like, you know, get it in there for real. So now go ahead and put the cam back in and continue this reassembly. Got them both in, everything tightened down, didn't break any more bolts. Gonna put the rear head drain back on. That way we can get this in here. Like so. Go. Get that all the way in there, because you don't want to put one of these in there and have it leaking, because that's going to suck to change. Make sure that you pay attention to these if you're putting the OEM ones back on, because they only really fit one way that allows for the valve covers to bolt down. The easy way to identify it is you see there's a gap over here. So in that last clip you would have saw me switch this one around. You see that there's a gap, there's plenty of room for the valve cover to come flush with this contact surface. If you have this the opposite way, you see how this one is like, you know, there's that room between there. On the other side it doesn't have that. So if you put that side over here, it'll go overlap on this surface and you won't be able to bolt that valve cover down. So that's another way just to keep in mind. They're the same 10 mils. Just stack those back on there and keep it going. Just pop that in there. And move this off towards the edge. Okay. Pull out of that shit. That's good. So now we got the cam gears on. One thing that you'll see me do in that last clip that's just a no-brainer when it comes to putting this stuff back together is once you get these tight and stuff like that, you can actually use the socket to rotate these. I mean, you can do it by hand, but it's easier to do it with the socket. And I would just say go ahead and rotate both of them. Make sure that your cams are fully rotating freely. There's no resistance or anything like that. Make sure that, you know, nothing's going on up in here. None of these valve caps are lifting or any like weird vibrations or anything like that. Just to, you know, double check that everything is installed correctly. So highly recommend. But yeah, so you got the 4 bolts that hold this in, and you got the one that holds that in. Both of these have that groove on the back that lines up with the actual camshafts. So there's no way that you can misalign this. And once you have these on, then you could go, you know, before you put it back in the engine, you could set it back to top dead center based off of the timing marks and stuff. That way you don't mess up your timing. So with this one, not too sure on the torque specs for these, but these are pretty easy to crack loose. So I'm gonna make these just really snug. This one, you saw, well, you guys that watched the disassembly video saw how hard it was to get that inner one off. So I'm pretty sure that that's torqued down to something pretty high. So I'm gonna try to torque that one down. I did my research and I've found that it's about 90 foot-pounds. Hopefully the same thing that happened with the cam cap bolts doesn't happen with this one when I try to torque this thing down, because I have no idea how to get a replacement one of those. So I'm gonna torque it in sections. I'm gonna start with 50 or 60-ish, and then I'm gonna go to 80, and then I'm gonna go to 90. And once I hit 90, I'm stopping. 90 is on the low end of the torque spec, by the way. So if it snaps, you'll see it here, and you know not to do it there. But what I'm using for that one is a 3/8 bit. So let's get that one taken care of. So this is 60. Okay, 60 foot-pounds. Go next level up. I'm gonna go for 80. That's 70. 80. Man, I hope this thing does not break like the other ones. Okay, 80 foot-pounds. Getting pretty similar to when I had to take it off. I might have to tie it down again. 2 strapped down. Let's go ahead and try 80 again. Okay, good sign. And lastly is 90, which is the lowest spec. I'm not risking it going higher. Alright, not touching it, no more. 90 foot-pounds on it, it ain't coming off. Alright guys, this is where I'm gonna pretty much end the video. So at this point the head is assembled for the most part. The only thing that you would have to do is do your ignition system, whatever coil pack setup you got. I got the spark plugs in there, but whatever coil pack setup you got, valve covers, and you're pretty much good. And then this is all set to go as well, so should be good to go. Only other thing that I would say is like these areas where you see this red gasket maker, you will need, it is going to be ideal for you to put something there to help seal the oil. This is for the half moons, and the half moons are these right here. Literally just pop in like that, but just to help them seal off the oil, you want to put a little bit of gasket maker in between those, and you also want to put a little bit of gasket maker around these camshafts to help seal that up too when you put the valve covers on. But that's for the valve covers, these are for the half moons, and you're pretty much done. So hopefully you don't run into as many problems as I did, but hey, you know, it is what it is. At least we got it figured out, and I didn't have to buy a new head. And then, like I said, I'm gonna make a separate short video specifically dedicated to that cam load problem, and I'll put that in my RB common problems playlist. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, follow the build, and until next time, tomorrow will be the day that I go and try to pop this in here, get everything hooked up, and see if this thing starts. So that's that.